Hey everyone, today we're going to do a coolant flush on this 2006 Nissan XTrail. So there's the overflow tank over there on the left, and your radiator cap at the front, of course. So this SUV has the thermostat in a nice place. It's right on the front of the engine. There's two bolts there, top and bottom. I do recommend you change that. You don't have to, but if it's been a long time, it's worth doing. So you just open that cock valve up, remove your cap, both your caps, and let it drain. And this will take a few minutes to drain it all out. Now this coolant was not super dirty, so we're just going to do a two-step flush. So depending on how bad your system is and how long it's been since it's been cleaned, it's going to determine how many times you need to flush this thing. So I'm going to do a two-step flush. And we'll get into that in a minute here. So the first thing I'm doing is just taking off the upper rad hose. So you just remove the clamp and just work it off carefully, twisting it around. If it's really bad, you may have to stick a little flat screwdriver under there to help it along. I'm going to remove the overflow hose that goes to the overflow tank. And what we're going to do is feed that down underneath the vehicle because we're also going to flush out the overflow tank, not just the cooling system. Because a lot of gunk builds up in that overflow tank. So basically I'm just going to feed it down underneath the vehicle. And of course we'll drain that into the pan that we have down below. And I'll just empty out that overflow tank for you. So it's done draining. There's nothing more coming out. So you can retighten that valve. So now I'm going to take a garden hose and just blast out that tank. And you're going to do this a couple of times and just let it drain in your pan underneath and then do it again. And just really get all that gunk out of your overflow tank just to clean it out. It doesn't have to be perfect, but as long as you get all the junk out of it. Discoloring's okay. So I'm just going to bring that hose back up, clip it back in place, and then reconnect it to the radiator. Just like that. Put the cap back on. Make sure your drain cock valve underneath your car is closed again. Now we can start refilling. Now the reason I took this upper rad hose off is this is a nice little trick. Because some people just pour in the radiator, but then of course you got to start the car and you got to let it run and let it suck into the system. If you can get at your upper rad hose to fill the top head of the engine, this is much easier. So I'm just using deionized water, and you can buy this at grocery stores, automotive places. Make sure it is deionized, safe for cooling systems. And now we're using the Press-Tone Super Flush. So you're going to pour in that whole thing, the entire bottle. So all we're going to have in the system now is the water and the Super Flush. No coolant. And then you're going to go drive around, I would say for a good 20 minutes. Ought to do it. Heat up your vehicle nicely and get it circulating. Put your heater on full blast as you're driving to let it circulate the super flush through your heater core inside the car. So I'm just going to put that upper rad hose on. So this way you fill the top head of the top end of the engine, and then you can pour into your radiator. And it just fills it up much quicker. And you don't have to worry about running the car for a long time and getting it to work through the system. So you continue filling with water until the radiator is completely full. Once you can't get any more in, then you can start the car and just let it run for a little bit. And you'll see it suck the water down through the radiator as the water pump starts. And then you can top it off a little bit more. And that's it. You're ready to go for a drive. So now we are back from our drive. I've let the whole vehicle cool down. You can check your engine temperature gauge just by turning the switch on to make sure it's down at the bottom and everything's cooled off. So now I'm draining it at the bottom again like we did before. Same procedure. Taking my upper rad hose off again. And once it's all drained, you're just going to repeat. But this time we're going to use the coolant. Now I chose to mix my own. So it's the concentrated coolant, and then you just mix with water. According to the specifications, it's usually around 50-50. And then I'm just refilling the vehicle with that 50-50 mix. So this time you're not using the super flush. You're just filling it with your coolant. So you can either buy pre-mixed, which you just fill it up from right straight from the bottle, or you mix it yourself with the water. So here I'm just pouring in now this is blue coolant, and this is for Nissan and some other imported vehicles. Make sure you get the right coolant, the right OEM antifreeze, because there is a few different kinds. So I'm just going to fill the whole vehicle up with my pre-mixed and just fill it right up to the top, just like we did before. Once it's all full and you've started it again for a minute and filled up the radiator, now you can go for a drive. And then basically once it's cooled off, you can just check your level there in your radiator, and if it's all good, you're good to go. So this is just a simple two-step flush to first clean and then refill. Now, if your radiator coolant is really bad, like I mentioned in the beginning, you might want to do this possibly up to 3 different times. And eventually, as you're draining it, you're going to see it coming out cleaner and cleaner each time. But this vehicle just needed a two-step clean and flush. Now, if you do it really often, you may be able to just do one step, just drain it out and put in your coolant.